we now head into our final Tago here of the winner's bracket. Yeah, it's just a beautiful mixture of both Miramar and Erangel in many different aspects and ways, whether it's, you know, kind of ridges and a lot of areas for teams to be able to play on foot, to rotations. As
that doesn't look like that's
ominous.
working well. Yeah, that Scarecrow isn't working very well. That bird's just chilling on it.
Well, yeah, that is. But it's just one, though. It could have been multiple. But we now look at the plane path as it's going to be cutting mostly to the west, but leaving pretty much everything open for the teams that would want to stretch, even if they want to go down, I don't know, even all the way down to Ohyang.
There's a lot of different fun things that we could be looking at. Do note that Army base is along this route, so we got a lot of military yesterday. Maybe we'll get ourselves some Army base this time, right?
Yeah, the circle that we had there was so fun to watch, though. That area, again, it does look like it's a massive elevation, and it is, but it's very gradual. It's not like the south where you have these sharp spikes in elevation, so we saw a lot of teams navigating that on foot, and then that circle ending was just absolutely ridiculous with Cerberus doing Cerberus things and controlling multiple angles and fights. And yeah, I love Tago. I wish we had more of it. I wish we had at least 2 Tagos a day.
I'm with James. I want the 2-2-2.
I would love that as well. 2-2-2 would be the perfect rotation IMO, in my honest opinion.
Honest opinion of all. We can see that 17 is still up in the air over there, pretty close to as well Na'Vi and FaZe. This is going to be much more controlled and drop, not too much to worry about. Also, Sonic's going to be dropping more to the west. Petrichor Road going to be going just a bit past and picking up some vehicles. Nothing too hot and droppy looking like, as the circle is going to go down to the south. I mean, this is a long plane path, pretty friendly, so it's just the earlier jumpers that are going to have a touch to worry about, but not even a lot.
Yeah, Genji and Tai Lu will be rotating here from the north side. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a wrap maybe even down to the east because of the plane path, and knowing that there's probably going to be no one down there to the south. We might also see a wrap from one of those teams there. FaZe Clan is going to be very comfortable here on the east side as we look at the back-to-back winners here. 90 points. I think it's fair to say that they're going to be moving on to the grand finals, which even just looking at the cutoff cusp, I mean, it's going to be close, Matt. Look at this spread. We have from 6th place 53, and then Genji at 48 at 7th, Tai Lu 42, the Expendables 41, Falcons at 39. I mean, this is so close for the fight for top 8.
This is going to be very interesting, as it's still pretty neck and neck in that area. What, the Expendables at 41, you were talking about, Falcons at 38, just a squad wipe between them at the time. You were talking about FaZe and their enjoyment and controlling of the East. Well, they also kind of have some of the center and some of kind of whatever they want, as they're running a 2-2 in drop, probably a mix-up based off of the fact that there's so many people that were kind of dropping along this corridor. But they do have plenty of good loot spots that they can kind of work around. The only issue is they're directly in between 17 Gaming and Na'Vi, which isn't necessarily the most comfortable position to be on.
No, and Na'Vi actually have a nice split here. They've gotten a good amount of loot in this area, and they're just going to be off-center to the east there to the fishing camp. And we saw this area a little bit in that one game that ended in those fields where there was nothing to play. And so if they're able to hold that position for a while, they will also be able to do a lot of damage to teams coming in, especially if the circle does shift off of them and go more towards the west.
Sitting over here looking at Theraton 5 and all the emergency pickups they've been able to pick up. Well, let's also get in, listen what's going on with Thanadol.
สามารถแก้ไขข้อผิดพลาดต่างๆและเล่นกันเป็นทีมได้มากขึ้นครับคือเราแก้ไขข้อผิดพลาดในวันแรกที่แข่งและวันที่2ที่เราแข่งครับทำให้เกิดแชมป์ในวันนี้ครับเล่นเหมือนเดิมครับประคองแรงไปเรื่อย
I agree. As long as they just keep playing like this, I mean, they have been looking absolutely amazing, have the boys from Thailand, so I'm rooting for them. I mean, the adjustments that they made alone in group stages were so impressive to see.
And that's what you want to see in the group stage, right? We talked about in the last game, the mix-up of metas that can kind of happen is the different regions all have a slightly varied play style.
Especially with the new items.
Yeah, when we bring in the new items, we bring in a new map. Now we're taking a whole bunch of different metas, smashing them against each other. It's really cool to see what's working and specifically how fast these teams can make the modifications to go, okay, this is specifically what worked best for us, so this is our whole life and our commitment now.
Yeah, and again, Theraton 5 have been utilizing those pretty much liberally and more so than some of the other teams. We've obviously seen other teams use emergency pickups, but they have just been absolutely you know, making it work every single time. And it's been rare that we've actually seen them just get wiped off of using an emergency pickup.
And there's something to be said that whenever we talk about like how their placements have been coming into play, how they're managing to get in there, sure, they're doing a good job on using the emergency pickups to get into the strong spots. But it should be noted, whenever we're looking at this, they're at placement points 21, kill points 33.
Yeah, they're winning those fights.
It's the fights that they're getting are a lot more just like, we're going to pick up one whenever we make a drop, force the team away, like 1 or 2. What happened with LG a second ago? We saw them pick up Snakers, get the kill off of that, forced LG away, and just that becomes kind of like a tidal wave of effect that kind of happens as they throw something out and just continue to ring in the benefits of it as Hamas is just done.
Goodness.
He's just done with day trading. It's like, nah, I don't even want you guys around here. Just everybody take some of this.
Himas has been, dude, he has been nothing short of just, just incredible. As I say that, he's going to get sprayed down, and now Flash looking for the second knock there on the rotating member of Duck Mai, as they should be able to get Himas up, and the damage has already been done to day trade. It's going to be difficult for them to recover from this, Matt.
Yeah, they're kind of jumping down. It looks like they might be trying to play this aggressively, but they already have Isaki that's kind of gatekeeping out what they're wanting to do here. I know that they probably want their 2 back up, but I wouldn't venture too much closer into that because the way we're starting to see the stack come in, Isaki's holding the line for him, gets the knock on a 1. I love this. Hit, run, retreat, hold a new angle, get the flush, and now it is just one member of day trades, and I believe it's going to be Nurens, who is going to find himself very awkward situation now with Duck Mai on one side.
Cerberus have been looking like world beaters just coming in here. The way they've been playing, the way that they've been just dominating these team fights have been fantastic. So they're a difficult team to contest with right now, as Duck Mai knows exactly where the last member of day trade is.
I mean, we've seen day trade on the international stage perform quite well for a very long time, and now it's just Cerberus picking them apart, finding it. Look, they have the information. They go for the peaks. It's just no freaking fear, man.
Systematic destruction. Every single team fight, they just look amazing. Even when they're getting knocked and they're not starting the team fight in their favor, which is rare, by the way. They've been pretty much starting all these team fights on their terms. Yeah, they've just been looking fantastic.
And you can see there, okay, we get a knock. We take down Moss, who's causing us some problems. Day trade's like, okay, we can use this. Let's go after it.
We have a chance.
The communication and how fast we're seeing Cerberus respond to these situations and know exactly where they need to be to stop anything from happening is just insane to watch.
Especially because, I mean, looking at them before, I mean, they found some success here or there, but internationally, you know, it's kind of been a struggle. They just... Coming out of group stages, we were talking about it in the green room. We're a little worried because, you know, historically, APAC's done fine in group stages, right? They do show up, but when it comes to the winners bracket, when it comes to lower bracket, they just, it's almost like not the same teams that are showing up in the group stage. That is something that I worried about. That is something that they have very much quelled.
Yeah, they're kind of the underdog story a lot of the times before this. This
Not
time,
anymore,
no. Now it's just you play the game we want to play, and
exactly. That's a good point.
It's working well.
Yeah, they are making all the team fights dictated on their terms and not the other way around, and it's caught a lot of these teams off guard. And even when we talk about, you know, what you were mentioning with Deraton 5, their drops, the emergency pickups, the reason that I feel like they are winning a lot of those fights is, as we witnessed in the last game with LG, is they're catching these teams off guard who are not expecting that to be, you know, a viable option as far as a drop right on top of a team, but they're winning those fights, which is even more impressive, because I can tell you, dropping on a team, even in pubs, like in pub games, you get lasered out of the sky, man.
Well, you can see that there's such a commitment and focus and communication and competitive, right? Okay, again, back to the LG example. We're not trying to beat up on LG.
No, it's just, I mean, it was
just
nice
the most
from Deraton 5.
It's the most recent example, but you saw they were trying to prep up. They had a fight that they wanted. They had separated out. They committed into it.
It was a great spread too from LG.
It was a really good prep on a fight, and T5 just comes in and is like, nope, there's only one here. Let's land here. Voila. And now the entirety of the center point push that would have been coming out, or the defensive line for LG, gone, and their plans in shambles.
Yeah, there are inherent risks as well, and T5 is well aware of that. They have had a drop that didn't go their way. They kind of got shredded, so that's always going to be the symptom. But again, their decision-making on where to land as well has been great. A team, though, as far as decision-making that is a little bit on the back foot is actually Tai Lu, right? They came in incredibly strong in the group stage. They pretty much dominated that. It was the Shen show, really. But you know, it's been a much slower burn there for the boys here in the winners bracket.
Well, when you keep kind of butting heads up against FaZe in the mid game, your life's not going to go the best by comparison.
They were winning those fights though in the group stage, so
they were. But FaZe is just, I don't know. Whatever happened is just it's. a confident shift.
Yeah.
There's just something you can see it. Like it's just constantly control, and it's a dominance that we're just seeing right now coming up from them.
I feel like the communication is really starting to gel together now. Obviously, the calls that they've been making have been great, from their macro to making sure they're holding out multiple teams on their edge, as we saw in that last Miramar game, the way they were able to dictate most of the rotations there on the north side of the circle. So FaZe have been just coming in and dominating so far, and again, they've already punched their ticket to Grand Finals. There's no doubt in my mind. And
now
looking at this shift, it's going to center right on LG.
And it's just going to be about how much more can they influence, because we did see that during the group stage.
Point, yeah.
With these teams repeatedly getting victories, most notably Tai Lu, they sponged up so many points up to the top. It really made it to where teams that were thinking that they hadn't even had a chance to qualify were now into this bracket.
LG was one of those teams.
LG being kind of the beneficiary of that. So if we continue to see FaZe just going wild, it's going to open up the doors for the middle of the pack to be just, 1 point separating out between TE and Tai Lu right now on who's going, and it could stay like that.
Yeah, Navi actually, as you were saying, that Uba got drive-by'd by Xiaobei, and then Xiaowu just finished it off. So again, some woes, early woes here from Navi as they sit in 14th place, and seeing how well they played in group stage and the way they were able to dominate those team fights. Well, not the case here so far in winners bracket.
FaZe just sent it in, and they managed to catch right in as 17 Gaming was doing the same thing. So they shifted into position, regrouped as 4, and now have kind of bounced back around Hosan with 3 members in FaZe, moving back down into where TE was at, forcing them away. But Gustav also kind of just juking around, getting shot out by QM on the opposite side of Hosan.
Yeah, he's desperately trying to rotate in and getting shot by both 17 as well as Falcons, but I think he might actually just be fine. And fighting in Hosan, it's a very interesting city, right? Because it is split into this very weird north-south. This draft is going to find that headshot from very far away.
Imagine driving as far and as long as he did. He sees the safety of his squad, and the DeLorean can't just quite get him there.
Yeah, but this crossroads here in the center of Hosan makes the city, it's fun to fight in. I will say in competitive, though, it's probably a very different beast.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't really seen a big Hosan fight.
We have not seen a Hosan fight, and we really haven't seen many big city fights in Taego yet, which again I am excited to see when we eventually do. Maybe this circle will shift to the southeast, we don't know, but even just looking at a lot of the rotations, man, and all the other teams, everyone has made it into this circle in some form or another.
If I were going to trust the way the circles have been, I would assume a palace circle at this stage. You know, it's just like, hey, there's nobody up there and there's a giant section of water through the middle. That's where it's going to go.
Yeah. Fortunately, though, this one doesn't have that much of that river in, as we see, and we've talked about this river quite a bit. You know, it's not like a wrangle. It's very shallow for the most part. So even getting on from one side of the coast to another, there's really no cover there. And luckily for the teams now, they don't have to deal with that.
It's almost more in your mind, think like a road on Miramar, right? It's you can cross it, but it's just going to be open. There's nothing there. And
yeah. Oh, where are those? Where are those?
I don't know. Petrichor Road.
Hey. Oh, just short.
Yeah.
Who's launching those bad boys?
Thank you, spectator. I appreciated that.
Dude, the mortars as well. That's something that we've kind of talked about it. Obviously, Theraton 5 getting the first mortar wipe here at the tournament. Oh, so it's going to be 17. But yeah, mortars just cause so many issues for positions and maps that we've seen before, like this road dip that we see Petrichor in, like we saw on the road dip on the east side where 4AM was wiped in that Miramar game. It's just areas that normally are so good and difficult to get teams out of. I mean, these have done an amazing job of just kind of doing a lot of damage. Still, these are a little short, though.
That just makes me nervous every single time. You just hear the shwah right before it hits in there.
It's got to be terrifying, too, if you're on the field as a player. Get out of here. Especially when you're already getting shot by other angles, right?
It's not like they can leave. They're just kind of committed. New circle pops, and it does go south. We do keep in a good chunk of Hosan, too.
Yeah, we do keep a good chunk of Hosan. There's also a nice bit of hill there that Tai Lu will probably try to take. Not too much cover up there. Again, a lot of the forests here on Taego are fairly barren. There's really not that much cover in them, but this circle, at the very least, does have a decent amount. Again, the main thing teams will be wanting to rotate into the south side, potentially in Hosan, which we do see the Expendables making that move right now.
This is a very diverse circle as far as terrain goes, right? We've got Hosan in here. We've got some of the fields. We've got kind of that swampland that's going to be over there. The giant hill just to the west of Hosan doesn't have very many people that are going to be involved in it right now, but that's going to change. You can see Navi just kind of cutting through. Expendables is going to be wrapping down in the south, closer to kind of that rice paddy location to work through. FaZe is going to be right along the edge of Hosan as Telwood is going to be shooting at them from behind, but I mean, I don't expect too much more to come out of that.
No, FaZe are now you know, very aware that there's probably a team somewhere on this side of the city, which there is, but they're actually outside of it on the west side. That's going to be the Expendables rotating in earlier.
Oh, and yeah, okay, here's kind of what's going on. As it wasn't going to be at the end, it's going to be nades that kind of is doing in Petrichor Road. Not too much to be done. I also want to say I love the fact that FaZe came in silent on that approach into the city.
They did, yeah, they cut the motors, but I mean, back to Petrichor here. This was... I mean, this is the problem of getting this position so early, this dip, right? Not only was there mortars, but a team like D plus K was going to be able to flex out here on just to the south of them and just get damage as these mortars are continuing right in. 17, very aware of the fact that Petrichor is just getting pelted by nades as well, so they're going to continue to try to maybe get a mortar kill as, oh, they have their own problem. Soul is going to step over.
That is just a sneaky little play to try to exploit what's going to be going on over here. And the rest of Denoa now trying to regroup very, very quickly. Keep in mind, it's going to be Na'Vi just on the opposing side, but not too much that could be had with this. Jin Ji was kind of in a mix-up with that northern duo, what was going on with Denoa. So as this regroup comes into play, Jin Ji and Pio knows exactly where they're going. Blue zone nades coming out is, I mean, just eat it at this stage, right? I mean, that's all you can really do.
They have to heal through it. They don't have any jammer packs, and that is kind of one of the downsides of using a mortar, especially if you're using it in an open position. Other teams can see where those are coming from, and that's exactly what Danoa did. Then they capitalized on the push. This was a beautiful play from them.
So with the shift in, my eyes are drawn to Jin Ji, who's going to be in the distance right back behind. And Onyx's job is going to be kind of force them away. D plus Kia now having to contend in with the remnants still of what's going on with Petrichor Road is, dude, Axelift, just at this stage, what do you even do?
Just trying to survive. I mean, the rest of his team has been just bombarded by nades, mortars, and everything in between, and so he's just trying to survive, but that vehicle really is on its last legs. Maybe if it's destroyed, he has a form of cover, so there it is.
It should be noted that QM also sees this and is taking shots in, so that's not good. As finally we're getting more of that Hosan fight starting to kick off as FaZe moving in. As Tyloo going to be kind of in the defended line. Remember, we did see FaZe come in onto the eastern front on this cross the road. They're kind of maneuvering through this. Nade not going to connect the way that Fex wants it to, though.
Yeah, but FaZe just have a great ridge to play here, as they're going to be able to assault Tyloo without even really taking too many risks. They will have to eventually get in, but they have a decent amount of time here with the circle quite a bit of ways, and they already have the knock, and they are just bombarding Tyloo with so much utility, and this is making it difficult for them to even recover.
Finally, Long's going to go for a throw, but after a reposition comes out, you can see Expendables do get some vision into what's happening with Tyloo, and that's why they're having to play so defensive in this and can't really step in. A bit of utility still going to be coming out, and this is going to be the tail end of it coming out for FaZe. They've committed a lot into this.
They want to get rid of this team. It's another foothold for them to get into the circle. Again, as you said, the Expendables will have a little bit of an angle as Duck Shoes will find the flush on the 755. And so that's going to be a member down, and FaZe knows that they're fighting Tyloo because of the knocks from those nades earlier, so they're going to know that there's one member down and probably only two up as they're starting to make this push, Matt.
Tries to roll up into it, but they've got the Expendables on one side, Falcons on the other. Tyloo and FaZe up on top of each other right on the edge of the zone, but not even really inside it. Meanwhile, T5 is going to find themselves Na'Vi and a rock to hide behind for right now, as this is comfy cozy for the time being until the 17 Danoa thing ends.
But if you look at the issue with this new shift, there's, again, it's just such an open central circle. There really isn't much to play. So a lot of the teams that are looking for a position like LG on the north, like this fight happening on the northeast between Danoa and 17, as well as the fight here between Tyloo and FaZe, which is being heavily gate-kept by the Expendables, by the way, it's just going to be a mess.
Good night, sweet princess. Axelift finally dies. The torment and torture is finally done. Petrichor Road out as it was every single throwable on the face of the earth coming after them. FaZe, though, still inside this fight, and this is just getting harder to deal with the longer it goes on. TE has actually sent 777 up just to the north of this, so there's going to be a crossfire after this fight finishes out. And you can see, this just isn't clean for anybody. With Tyloo's having to deal with FaZe so close range, they can't deal with the Expendables. It's allowing them to fortify in. TE doesn't have good vision on what's going on with the Falcons. Nobody is really just kind of capable of navigating this super efficiently, as now FaZe having to come in and... you can see, they know where they're at, but even if you win this fight, what do you do next?
Yeah, the next move is not going to be great, and the difficult part here for FaZe is that they've also been contested by teams shooting at them from distance, so they will clean that up, and that's also a difficult position to push. Those warehouses are notorious for being held quite easily, and that nade was beautiful from Merlot.
Yeah, LG is going to be in throwable range. I don't know where those are exactly coming from, but It's
Oh my goodness.
it is just going off over here. T5 down just one up, venturing in. It's going to be QM, who still have vision because QM have the compound in the north. If there's anything that's going on in the north, QM is involved. Is the easy way to look at it.
QM has been doing a great job of, as you said, staying involved. Is now Danawa trying to make this push. They've come off the northeast, clearing 17, doing a good job of dictating other rotations here as they now are trying to backstab LG in this push against their top 5.
Good read coming up from Flood. He steps up but takes a face full of damage. Rolo playing on the opposite side hasn't gotten enough to work with just quite yet. Instead, going to lean into the throwables, but Nade's going to be coming out on the Danawa side. And Soul walks right out. Now Flood, the last remaining member for LG, but there are just so many members for Danawa. It's going to be hard. I was going to say, yeah.
No way for LG to get that done, on top of the fact that, you know, T5 did recover and was raiding some utility as well as getting some shots out towards boys from America. And now, yeah, Danawa have taken over the spot. 6 kills, have done well for themselves so far, Matt.
We got to put the quotations around recovery. Phanthopong's still not necessarily feeling too good over here.
Sure.
Look at this. He's like, okay, all the vehicles around me have exploded in at least some type of pyramid of safety, and that's about all he's got.
Yeah, he tried getting that res. It didn't end up working out as Danawa, the benefactors here of all the chaos on the north side. They are not only in, but once they get rid of Pong, which they just did from Seoul, they're going to be able to now take that position as well. And they have so many loot boxes to potentially re-up on ammo, utility, or possibly even armor, because a lot of those kills came the way of frags, so those might be untouched.
With that cleaned up, it looks like Danawa is going to move down to the south as Cerberus is preparing to make their rotation next to the Omni Vision that we've got coming out from QM into the circle. Is now you're going to crest down. This is what I was talking about.
Where do you go?
Look at this. QM has vision on all of this. Genji also has some level of vision they can work on, but they're having to contend in. So just play into the lower section, hide out, and on the opposing side, it is going to be Falcons who are now leaving that Hosan position that we're talking about beforehand. DK going to be the new moving factor as Cerberus going to have sight lines into them as well as Danawa. It looks like they are kind of playing in more into that Danawa line.
Yeah.
There's a couple of like increases in the hillside, but they're not good, but that's all you got.
Yeah, so the position that Cerberus has pulled up in is pretty good, but not this early. So as you can see, question mark, D+Kia, Danawa as well. I mean, Genji is actually just kind of chilling right now, but a lot of sightlines onto this. And I will say, though, Cerberus, the way that they've been able to really take their time, you notice they came in just at the very last second. They're really weighing their options, and this is something that we kind of saw them not do as well when it came to previous events, but they're taking their time. Their macro has improved so much on top of the ability to team fight as effectively as they have been.
There's a pivotal fight that's going to be brewing in just 1 second as Sonics used the distracted TE to shift into the hillside to the south a moment ago. It's going to give them a lot of control depending on how the circle goes. TE is not going to have a lot of options. They're going to have to move away from Falcons, as you can see, getting shot over there to the north. And Sonics, if they can get rid of TE from here, they can now crest that hillside, start looking into Falcon sight lines, and they're going to have vision, I think, onto what's going to be going on with Cerberus at least.
Yeah, and Sonics have been fairly quiet this game. I mean, they've been also coming in on rotations they're actually on the west side. They wrapped into the south, and they've now gotten themselves a nice position. If they can get rid here of TE, which is just a duo, they might be able to step over and do quite a bit of damage to Falcons, as they're going to have to step out of the rest of what was left of Hosan in the circle.
Well, we're in just a complete no man's land now. All the buildings going to leave recessed hillsides. The only, well, I say that, there's still technically the Genji shack to work around. Is Genji and shacks have just been the theme of the day. Well, just in general. General theme of Genji, right?
It's a fairly common theme with them.
No, somebody still has Mortar.
Menuda will find Haisaki, but again, this is the problem. This is what Mortars do pose as far as staying in the open, and that almost led it directly. No, there it is! Haisaki and Taikon will fall.
All right, well, Duckmine, good job on not being with the rest as they are now toast. Here comes the clown car up over the top. Can Duckmine get his vengeance? He's got the nade prepped.
It could be a huge
He's going to toss it in. It's going to roll right on top of him. And now Menuda last one up spray, and Duckmine gets vengeance for his squad. But now is still just in the most awkward of positions.
What an absolutely nuts play, though. He knew that team was going to crash. He knew they were going to crash in the remnants of his old teammates. The nade was perfect, as was the spray. He will survive and again get points as Shax and Genji, man.
They don't have the meds for this. They can't have the meds for this. They've had to tank so much at this point. Barely clinging to life there. It's just going to be Taman as question mark with their high ground position that they've been monitoring for quite a while. Is going to go ahead, take control over the bit of the crates that are right along that hillside while they're trying to take out the last remnants here. But Taman, never count him out. Best of luck looks like he's trying to breach into that smoke, but it is scary to do, and I like this. They've been fortified up for a long time. It's going to be Salute that actually finishes that out, and so moving down this hillside, moving into Gen G is going to give them the tools to work with, and high expendables. Tanvu, that's probably not the place to be.
You know what? That's probably the best play they had, as we knew they had to rotate through some difficult teams, and so I like the attempt, but yeah, just not going to work. Meanwhile, Question Mark have slow rolled this on the southwest and done an amazing job of taking control. 9 kills, 4 away, Phil first, 4 on Dante as well.
Now the hillside fight looks like it's starting to brew a bit more. Falcons, Capitan leading the way up into the north, that Danawa line. They do have Sonics that are right behind it, but both of these teams know of each other's existence. They've been kind of slapping each other for a while right now. No big firefight yet, but it does look like Sonic's line in the defense that they're committing into is trying to set up for that, while Emmy and the rest of the crew from Falcons wants to lean far more north and get away from this.
Yeah, but they can't. Sonics actually have a really nice spread on this hill, and they are looking for those angles. If they can just find them on Falcons, who have just been doing a great job surviving again on that eastern edge of Hosan, and so they're very aware that the team they're going to have to fight is Sonics, and whoever wins this fight will have a considerable amount of control, at least on the south, and a nice ridge to work with into the next circle if it does hard shift north.
Keep in mind, though, with all of this that's going on, this is pretty beneficial for QM, as the position that they've now managed to get into, they can take some shots into Danawa. With the way the Falcons are moving into this one, it looks like they're more focused in that Danawa line. 3 of the teams are all pretty much stacked over to the east on top of each other, whereas QM gets, let's be honest, the circle as best as anybody else did, and can kind of defend up into this.
They can even use that massive airdrop there to potentially get cover, as well as some new gear, maybe some disgusting weaponry that would help them out. As there they do come down. Danawa, though, starting to look for some sort of approach, as Mime is going to find Capitan.
This is just going to be really hard for the Falcons. While they do have those crates for cover, they've got Danawa on one side, Sonics on the other. Minimal cover to work around. Sonics doing a good job of just using the recesses in the hillside to make it as problematic for him as can be. You can see Emmy now having a couple of bullets thrown his way, but it's going to be Soul, who aggresses right down, just directly behind Silzen. Look, he's just in the thick of this one. He's just going to throw out a couple of things, but he's moving more aggressive. He wanted to deny some of these sight lines onto QM so he can make a play into the circle.
Yeah, and Danawa actually, as you said, Soul found himself a nice position, and this is a pretty good ridge, all things considered, as he's going to be able to get a forward position for the rest of his team. And those smokes actually deny sidelines, and he's looking for this. He's trying to find the window of opportunity. Yes, this is wonderful.
Just move in aggressively. Don't let QM get comfortable into this. They think that they've got control over this whole territory. With the smokes now coming out, he could just kind of charge into this. The vehicle at range is going to be Dante coming into it. Not going to see, but he has just crept up right on top of them. Now the Throwables are going to realize how close they are. Dante does spot him. Soul doesn't quite get the knock onto this one. Now QM realizing we've got targets close, and they have got to defend up.
Yeah, and they were not expecting Danawa to be able to get this close this quickly, as they're now pushing the pace here. And they've put Question Mark on the back foot. That's going to be a knock on the Best of Luck. Soul will find one, but damage coming out from the other side.
Phil first with the flank around, not wanting to relent off of it just quite yet. The rest of Danawa can't make too big of a move. Loki's just kind of isolated. It's going to be because of the way the Falcons were playing into the Sonics, though, are going to be creeping in right back behind the Falcons any given second. Could be a distraction and allow Loki to come provide something into this, but I think Loki, this is pretty much just done. QM going to finish up over here, and now it's more about this firefight.
Yeah, and Sonics have slowly been picking apart Falcons, as their position was more advantageous, especially coming off that hill, and now they're just cornering in through Silzen. As long as they can get the trade, Tig will continue to dominate here. 6 kills on the side of Sonics, and all the control for the boys in blue.
Sonics on the east, QM on the west, and poor Loki just kind of chilling out solo on a rock to the north. Even as rock not going to be in play for the next circle, as it does heavily favor Sonics. And keep in mind, there are just a stack of crates just spattered through all of this.
I say blue, more boys in teal, but regardless, the point still stands. Is look at how much control the Sonics do have. They're spreading out, and again, they might even be able to check some of those crates, maybe get some cheeky cover, even a nice little weapon. As we talk about weapon, look at Dante with the AWM. A knock from this could absolutely swing the fight in their favor. Is Loki just sitting in that vehicle?
I mean, I think that he's laying over there right next to it, but there's not a lot else that he can do. No. It's going to be QM now making the push into that rock. They just want to go ahead and make sure that they don't have anybody that's going to backside. I mean, just Again, efficiently played, is now walking into that Sonic sight line as they were going for Loki. It does come at a cost. They get Loki, but Loki does get Dante as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be nice for the Sonics. They're going to realize they now have a member down, and they're just going to continue to further their control on this circle. And they have center as well, Matt. And a spray from Lin is going to find a doozy, and they go for one, but a nice trade from Phil.
They just have ammo for days over here.
Second.
The brazenness of just holding that angle does get punished. Two members now down as Sonic's going to try to regroup over there. And that ghillie suit not going to provide too much with that blue backdrop back behind it. But Sonics, they know that they have the control on it. They're just going to go ahead and finish it out. Sonic's going to go ahead and walk away with the round victory.
Man, that was almost a turnaround there. Phil first with two very nice back-to-back knocks. But Sonics will take that, and that was all on the back of their patience. They came in on the west, they slowly rolled in on the south side, and they were able to absolutely dismantle the team of the Falcons and slowly take over center position with the distraction that Danawa provided to question mark.
And no disrespect to the Sonics off of getting a victory in a very hard circle, but QM and how long they exploited that circle, the kill count that they managed to walk away from, that is going to be a very big game for them. As Sonics already sitting pretty good on the leaderboard, QM finally finding themselves a solid game. That was very, very nice.
That's also the second good game here. Yeah, QM have started off the day much harder than they did yesterday. It was a struggle, but the adjustments that they've been able to make it into the end game have been absolutely